One BBC headline said proudly that Israel's preemptive operation had paid off. The lives of 44 Palestinians who were killed, of over 300 people injured, the entire population of Gaza living under one of the harshest sieges in human history for over 15 years mean absolutely nothing to these people. The rank hypocrisy could not be clearer when you compare the treatment of the Palestinians with the support for Ukrainians who are resisting the illegal Russian invasion and occupation. And these double standards expose what is at the heart of the matter. Israel has, since its inception and remains today, an imperialist project for Western control of the Middle East. And that is why our government sells millions in weapons to them. That is why they give them diplomatic support to continue ethnically cleansing the Palestinian people. And that might be a basic fact, but I think there are two things that we need to take from that. Firstly, the struggle for Palestinian liberation is an anti-imperialist struggle, and so is the global solidarity movement. But also vice versa, the wider movement against imperialism is part of the struggle for Palestinian liberation. Stop the War and the other organizers of today's protest have made sure that Palestine has been central to the anti-war movement for over 20 years. Because when we weaken this country's imperialism, we advance the prospects for Palestinian freedom. And that means we need to connect the struggles. We have to fight against the invasion of Ukraine, for peace in Ukraine, against NATO's warmongering, against the drive to war in China. We need to stand up against this government's facilitation of the Saudi war on Yemen and its arming of every dictatorship on this planet. And the second thing that we need to take is that imperialism is central to the functioning of the British state. That is why they attacked Jeremy Corbyn the way they did, for his support for Palestine, for his opposition to imperialism. And that is why Mr. Useless, Sir Useless Starmer, stands unequivocally with Israel and expels pro-Palestinian members of the Labour Party. And shamefully, David Lammy goes on a funded trip to Israel days before they bomb Gaza. And it's in that same vein of defending the British state that Starmer banned Labour front bench MPs from going on picket lines. There is no separation of the foreign and the domestic. While our government pumps billions into weapons to send to Ukraine and on our nuclear weapons system, they tell us there's no money for the NHS. They tell us there's no money for wages. We need to show wage restraint. They tell us that the millions of people who are being forced into poverty just need to live with it. And they are prolonging the war in Ukraine, which is part of driving up energy costs in the first place. And that means that the struggle for Palestinian liberation, the struggle against imperialism, has to be part of a wider movement against this government. We need to advance BDS everywhere we can. We need to raise awareness and organize explicitly for Palestine everywhere possible. But we also need to be clear that one of the most important things we can do in this country in support of Palestine is to bring down this Tory government. We need to break a divided and weak ruling class, and that means supporting the rail strikers and the tube strikers and the bus drivers and the nurses and the teachers and the firefighters and every worker who stands up to this government. It means that we need to build a united campaign against war, against the cost of living crisis, against racism, against climate change. And we need to all be out on the streets on the 5th of November for the National People's Assembly demonstration against this government. And in all of these things, all of us here, it is our duty to make sure that there is an undying voice for Palestine, that we will never stop organizing, we will never stop mobilizing, we will never stop marching on the streets. Just like Handela here, we will never accept the occupation, and we will always, always continue to chant, free, free, Palestine! Free, free, Palestine! Free, free, Palestine! Free, free, Palestine! Solidarity, thank you.
Let's hear it for Shabbir. Thank you.